Hello, I'm David Breeden. I'm the senior minister at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, a historically humanist congregation, and this is Coffee and Wisdom. We've been looking at some Christian theology and Unitarian Universalist theology over time about how these have affected each other through the years from the very beginnings of speculation about Christianity up until today. We've already looked at Christology, as it's called. That is, what is the position of Jesus in the cosmic realm. We looked at hamartiology yesterday. That's the concept of sin and what sin, where it comes from, what it does to people, etc. And today we'll be looking at theodicy. Theodicy it comes from theos, God, and dike, which means something along the lines of judgment or judging. So this is about judging or justifying the acts of God to people. That's the idea. And you'll notice that it's a little bit different than the other terms in my little list of theological terms, and that is because DK doesn't come into English in the same way. But the question is, why do bad things happen to good people, basically? And also, it's often called the problem of evil. Where does evil come from? And the question is very simple in Christian terms. If God is omniscient, knows everything, omnipresent, is everywhere, and omnipotent, that is completely powerful, what is up with the world, which sure doesn't appear to be working all that well, does it? Why do bad things happen to good people? Now, this question predates Christianity. Epicurus, who lived from 341 to 270 BCE, already asked the question. It is a mistake to think that the Greeks had not already thought of monotheism, by the way. By the 300s and 400s BCE, the intellectuals and the philosophers among the Greeks were already considering monotheism and what it would mean. So that's really an anomaly that most people don't really know until you get into the history of these ideas. But Epicurus asked this: is God willing to prevent evil but not able? Then he is not omnipotent. He's not all-powerful. Is he able but not willing? Then he is malevolent. Is he both able and willing? Then whence cometh evil? Is he neither able nor willing? Then why call him God? And this is kind of the classic way of posing these theodicy questions. The Christian theological answers to the problem of evil, or why bad things happen to good people over time, answer number one is, if you're asking, you're already doomed. You're not a believer because you're asking this question. You can't ask that because the ways of God are mysterious and it's none of your business, so don't ask. And I would say that's probably the fundamentalist answer to the question still today. Answer number two is from St. Augustine, the guy we talked about yesterday as the originator of original sin. And to St. Augustine, people are to blame for messing things up. God had everything worked out. It was all a go, a wonderful world, Eden and all of that, but people messed it up. And so that's Augustine's answer. Answer number three from St. Irenaeus: all this is here to teach us something. All of this is here to teach us something. And answer number four, which is a much more recent answer from the mathematician G.W. Leibniz, of all the possible worlds, mathematically speaking, God made the best choice among all the worlds that could have been created. As you probably know, Voltaire writes a book called Candide about that, with the teacher of Candide, Dr. Pangloss, always saying this is the best of all possible worlds, even as he loses his nose and various other parts of his body. You do probably know or have noticed, if you've read this, that Pangloss, pan, is all, and gloss, he's glossing all the problems over, isn't he? And that's Candide, or the optimist, in the face of all that human life can throw our way, by Voltaire, who was very much asking the question question of the problem of evil. Many people accuse Voltaire in his day of being an atheist. He probably was a deist of some fashion, but he was certainly a skeptic. The liberal answer, generally speaking, is some version of answer number 3 from St. Irenaeus. All this is here to teach us something. Maybe to the point of what is known in Christian theology as redemptive suffering. That is, that since we are of a sinful nature, original sin and all that, by suffering through this life, we are redeeming ourselves by our actions and by the ways that we act in the world, and therefore we will indeed have a chance at going to heaven in the end. A more recent answer to this question has been process theology. And many liberal Christians today, mainline Protestants especially, are very much process theologians. This was originated by Alfred North Whitehead, who died in 1947, and then developed by Charles Hartshorne, who died much more recently. He was not a Unitarian Universalist, but did attend Unitarian Universalist churches in his retirement. So he very much knew about liberal religious thinking. And he further develops this idea of process theology. The claim of process theology is a claim from science. The universe is still in process. Big Bang, it's flying apart. That's part of the process. And the claim there is that God is in the process of becoming and therefore can't prevent evil. Because God just hasn't gotten to that place yet, but there is an endpoint out there at which place God will be omnipotent and all the other things that Christians have long dreamed God to be. Of course, we humanists answer, then why call him God? We agree with Epicurus all those years ago. And of course, the debate goes on. Why is there evil in the world? What does it even mean? Often in Christian terms, and you can hear this in American news reporting of mass shootings and that kind of thing, that evil is some kind of property that's out there in the universe. We humanists tend to think that evil is just one of the things that primates do to each other. It's unfortunate, but it is part of unfortunate, but it is part of, and we wish that that didn't happen. But there are all kinds of reasons that humans act in the way that we do, and as a matter of fact, we claim as humanists that evil exists only in human actions. We no longer believe that earthquakes or tornadoes are actually functions of Satan or evil in any way. So that's kind of where humanists tend to fall down on that question these days. But most liberal Christians are in that process theological place. It's a very difficult theology to look into, but you can definitely do some web searching and find out a lot more about that. Humanists generally answer it in this way. The Divine Image by William Blake back in the 1700s from his poem, "For mercy has a human heart, pity a human face, and love the human form divine, and peace the human dress." It's all about us, in other words. Thanks for listening today. We will this evening at 7 p.m. be considering Bibles and beer. Bring along something to eat and drink for a humanist Bible study. We'll be going over the first couple of chapters in Genesis, 2 different creation stories that are embedded in Jewish scriptures. So hope you join us this evening, and you can certainly help us out keeping things like this online and going by going to PayPal or firstunitarian.org/donate. Thanks a whole lot, and I hope to see you at 7 p.m. this evening.